All right, we're going to call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's nice to be back here. It's been a while. Good to see everybody. Good to see faces. Good to be back in our normal meeting space. A couple housekeeping items, unless there's any objection. I'm going to recommend that we move the executive session to the end of the meeting. We'll be giving some updates on 2 contracts during the executive session, and then we'll adjourn from the executive session. We now have to have a special meeting next week to ratify a contract that we actually just arrived at last evening. And so it's going to be my recommendation that we move the executive session to the end for a briefing. It's been the policy of this committee not to put documents in front of you the same night we ask you to vote on them. Review those with you in executive session, and then we'll come back in a virtual special meeting pending the Senate adopts the House's version of the virtual meeting law and the governor signs it, which we're hoping happens this week. We'll come back in a virtual meeting next week and we'll ratify both contracts. Okay? All right, at this time, we will move to our annual reorg. Since I can't preside over that part, I will turn it over to Dr. Nozick.
Thank you, Mr. Valenzola. So our first order of business is to take nominations for the position of chair of the Tantasqua Regional School Committee. Mr. Haggerty?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Valenzola.
Second. Thank you. Any other additional nominations? Okay, hearing none, we will close nominations. So all those in favor of Mr. Valenzola serving as chair, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Mr. Chair?
Thank you very much, and thank you to all of you for the continued confidence. Love working with all of you. We have a great committee here, and I appreciate the support. At this time, I'll entertain motions for nominations for vice chairman. Mrs.
I
Barnacle.
nominate Bill Haggerty.
A nomination for Mr. Haggerty.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, I'll close nominations. All those in favor of Mr. Haggerty as vice chair will say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Congratulations, Mr. Haggerty.
Thank you, Mr. Valenzola.
Megan didn't want to vote for him, that's probably
There
why.
you go, there you go.
Could be, because you definitely want to vote for it.
I tell you, if I'd lost for one vote, it wouldn't help.
At least you didn't run against him.
At this time, I'll open nominations for the position of secretary. Mrs. Noyes-Miller is the current secretary. Are there any nominations for secretary?
I nominate Mrs. Noyes-Miller.
Seconded.
Are there any other nominations?
She's done an excellent job.
I know, I signed my name really well. So
I'll close nominations. All those in favor of the nomination for Mrs. Noyes-Miller as secretary will say aye.
Aye.
Are there any objections? Congratulations, Mrs. Noyes-Miller.
Thank you all for trusting me to sign my name. Wow. Tough job. Yeah.
All right, that brings us to the approval of Mrs. Noyes-Miller's wonderful minutes.
I did a good job. My assistant here.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of May 18th, 2021. Motion's been made by Mr. Haggerty,
Seconded.
seconded by Mr. Goodwin. Discussion? Edits? Chair will call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions for the record.
Let's see.
We have an abstention, Mrs. Leo and Mrs. Barnacle. And,
Right here. Let me get Eli.
yep,
Mr. Glover. Did you call Mr. What's his face?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got Eli, Pat, and Kristen. Yes, got it. Okay. Brings us to our financial report.
Okay,
Boy,
you have the latest and almost the final
We've still got some work to do the last 2 weeks, pushing through some final bills and getting everything done, but we're ending exactly as we've talked for the last couple of months. We're in good shape. In case you don't love that grant report enough, there's 2 copies of it for some reason in this packet. They're the same. The only thing really there is rural aid does need to be spent by June 30th, when, as I mentioned, we've got plans to journal entry, we'll close that up, and then we should have the funds by the end of June to cover the school choice that we talked about last month, not needing school choice to cover operations, so I think we'll be in good shape ending. And then for next year, Tantasqua has a budget. As of last Thursday night when Brookfield passed, Brookfield was the 4th. We still have Brimfield tomorrow, which I'm sure will get support, but we only needed 4 out of 5 to support Tantasqua to have a budget. So we've got a budget. I'm sure Brimfield's gonna support it also.
Yeah, I think they
So
will.
we're in good shape.
I thought we canceled that.
No, the town meeting is tomorrow.
The school committee we
We
canceled.
canceled school committee, but it's the town meeting that tells us whether they support the budget or not.
Oh, okay.
So, and the town meeting in Brimfield will be the only one this year that isn't across the street. It'll be back at the town hall in Brimfield, so we'll take care of that tomorrow. Everything else should be good.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been an interesting year, huh?
Have any questions?
No, oh, and actually, I saved the best for last. We have our budget, and the 2 towns that I anticipated were going to use ESSER money did not.
Wow.
So we got support without that, so that leaves us in good shape to do the things that we need to do for the next couple of years.
Other questions for Mrs. Boyd? All right, we will move to staff reports.
Sure.
Mr. Lucas, I'll let the new Tantasqua graduate go first.
Thank you. It's quite an honor. Thank you. And a nice surprise. We've had a wonderful run culminating this weekend with our seniors. We had the TMA put on a banquet for the music kids, and the Booster Club put on a senior banquet for the senior athletes. Both were wonderful. I was fortunate enough to go to both. It was a great night for our seniors to celebrate them. And obviously everybody's been through a rough year, but we ended on a lot of positives. We had 100 students turn out for the prom. Had a great time under the big tent. I don't know if you guys saw it at the end of the softball field. Kids absolutely had a great time. They actually did get to do some dancing. They broke out into line dancing for about half an hour. It was great. Class night went very well. We couldn't have guest presenters, but we did have a great night for the kids. And then pizzas after supplied by you guys and sodas was greatly appreciated. And we did have about 50 to 100 kids hang out after for a while. Graduation went really, really well. We're now trying to wrap everything up for the year. We're collecting Chromebooks and textbooks from everybody. We still have about 130 outstanding Chromebooks we're going to get back, but we messaged out today about what's going to happen with those and next steps. We have Thursday, Friday, we have our students making their final presentations and culminating projects, so we're wrapping up our year. We had our orientation meeting last night for summer camps for our staff to get all their medical information and folders set up. We have a Board of Health review for our summer camps as we do annually on June 24th. Which I'm sure will go well. We are running all sports camp and arts and crafts camp this summer, a little abbreviated for 6 weeks. We have about 50 kids signed up per week so far. We sent out another message to all the parents, grades 2 through 8 for next year. We sent that out again tonight to them, so hopefully we'll have more signups. We also are offering free summer school this summer for 4 weeks with busing. We received a grant for that. We're very excited about that. We have 30 students dedicated so far for 4 weeks, and guidance counselors are in the process now of contacting more kids. So we're really looking forward to that credit recovery for some of our kids, and a chance for some kids to take some things they might not always get to take this summer and keep them busy. But we're very excited about that also. So I think that wraps up for the high school.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas. Mr. Sturgis?
Just a couple updates, as you guys probably all saw coming in. Our sidewalk project out front kicked off on Monday, so that should take less than 2 weeks, they said, so we can add barring weather. And so far, even if the rain the past 2 days kind of dodged their work, so they're off and running. We had a grade 6 parents' night, kind of orientation last week. Last year, we had over 600 people attend, had to do it over 2 nights. But I think people liked it, the recorded version they got posted on the website because they didn't all attend. But we had about 100 parents attend, and it was a virtual one. So hopefully we had a student orientation this morning, a virtual step-up day. for current sixth graders, including school choice kids who were accepted, were also invited as well. Some of which schools are done for the year, so they were able to attend. So it's good to have all those, there's a lot of kids on today, so that went very well. And I told the kids, I hope to God that's the last time we ever do a virtual step up, virtual anything, because we want them in the building. So we do have an open house scheduled for the end of August that I invited all families them to attend. And hopefully we're back to somewhat sense of normalcy where we can just have them back in the building and go and show them around and not have to space them out. MCAS are done, we finished those in 2 weeks, 3 days of testing, one on each content area, and then only 2 days of makeup tests, and we were in and out, and all kids came in. Remote kids came in and took the test in the building, in the gym and caf spaced out, and went pretty smoothly. It was always a fun time, but it went smoothly. And then as you see in the report, we did get a $250 award from the Save Promise Club that the Sandy Hook organization were part of. It came kind of out of nowhere. We didn't even apply for it. We just received it because they recognize our student council kids who have identified their portion of student council as the Save Promise Club is going so far above and beyond what other schools have been able to do during this crazy year that they awarded us, as well as 14 other schools, different categories of award. But it was a nice surprise to get the email with a free $250 just for our kids being really, really good kids. And finally, is just the Nelm Scholar Leader Awards. We had normally it's a nice dinner. It's one of the nights I actually look forward to. You go with a nice keynote speaker. This year was virtual. Hopefully, again, another final time doing virtual. But we had Sydney NG and Brandon Phillips, 2 8th grade students, both NJHS kids, student council kids. Brandon plays baseball. Sydney's in the play. They're just involved in everything, and it's just excellent grades, but also just better people, just good kids. We're our 2 award winners for that. So. We're very proud to participate in that. And the keynote speaker was Dr. Jesse, the chainsaw, whatever, Mean Machine Green. So he's actually going to be in Brimfield this summer, I believe. So he did a nice job. There was a lot of activity on a Zoom, but he did a great job. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Questions for Mr. Sturgis, Mrs. Weismiller?
Are you having a summer school also?
So we're having a summer school. It's a little different from the high school because ours isn't going to focus on credit recovery. It's going to be more kind of more giving kids more time in the classroom. We have only about 20 kids right now. We struggle to get kids they don't want to come back this summer. We do have we've worked out a way with the high school for our 8th grade students who are trying to get to the tech school if they failed in math or English because they need to pass those classes for tech. They're actually going to take the credit recovery classes on the high school side, so we've been working with them to make that work, so those kids have a shot and still can get into the tech program next year.
And they'll use the same busing?
Yes,
We're sharing.
we're sharing.
We're playing nice in the sandbox.
And while the summer school is going on, are there any athletic camps going on at the same time? And if so,
Yes.
is there a possibility they can use the busing too, or not? Because it seems like if you have 50 kids, you
no
might
for
have a lot
now,
of space.
but it is possible once we get in it 4 weeks that's a possibility. We've also, the summer school will be on the 4th floor, and the camps will be housed on the 1st floor, so they're going to be separate. And the summer school kids are going to come in on the 2nd floor patio and go up to the 4th floor. And we are able to run AC in those rooms. So we try to keep them as separate as possible.
Right.
You're kind of supposed to keep the camp separate from summer
Right.
school because of the age and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So we don't like to blend it if we have to.
Right,
So
okay.
I guess I don't know.
But the junior high will be able to use the
But
same
yeah, the
busing.
junior high kids in summer school will get busing with the high school kids.
Great, thank
Yeah,
you.
Should be great. And we've already had families tell us, Sheila, that is allowing their kid to do summer school.
I would think.
Busing
For a
makes a
lot
big
of people it
difference,
would be.
yeah.
I think that's,
So
I would
that was
say
a huge
that's
part of the
great.
grant.
I would
Yeah,
suggest the
definitely.
majority of our
Yeah.
kids wouldn't be able to do it if it was
Yeah.
without that.
So we're looking forward to that.
good,
Boyd?
thank you.
2 things. It would be a logistical nightmare trying to get those sports kids on, because remember, they tend to change every week.
Oh,
The
that's
summer school
true.
kids
That's right.
are signing
Right.
up, but
Right,
the
yeah.
sports camps
Right,
every
yeah, I
week, there's a
forgot
different
about
group of
that.
kids.
Yeah.
Although it is less this year, we didn't do as many, and we're trying to
Yeah.
do some sports camps, but not as much as usual.
Right.
However, on the other positive is, we are serving free meals to all
Yes.
of the campers this summer.
Yes.
That any campers that will take it, because the free goes through all of next year.
Yeah, I read
So
that.
our cafeteria staff is gonna be feeding any sports camper, any any summer
Yeah.
school
Yep.
and continuing to do the weekly bags, pickup bags with a week's worth of meals. So they're gonna be pretty busy, but you know, that is great for the community and with any luck, great for the cafeteria revolving fund.
I actually had a question for Mr. Lucas.
Yes.
I remember in years past, we had like SAT prep for, I believe it was juniors.
Yes,
Is that a part of the summer school? I didn't think.
it's not.
it was.
Our summer school for the high school kids is basically so that they can remediate if they struggled with online learning or remote learning or struggled in a hybrid model, so that they can, if they have like a 52 average, they can come into summer school for a couple of weeks and do enough work to get a passing grade and get their credits towards graduation. It's
Okay.
allowing kids to make up work and continue. Some kids are coming in just to enhance their learning, like Greg said for the junior high kids, where they did okay, they
Yeah.
passed their classes, but they really could use some addressing of some of their gaps and some of their concepts. So that's part of our hope for that. So it's a little bit different where the junior high doesn't necessarily have to deal with graduation credits, we do. And so we're trying to
Right.
keep our most struggling kids that don't have a lot of supports at home on track to graduate. And that's really what our goal is with the 30 kids who've got signed up already.
Okay. And is that on target to start up again this year or not at this point?
The SAT class?
Yeah, for
Yeah, that was in
this year's
the,
juniors.
we ran, for the next,
Did
we already did it in the
exist this
spring.
year?
We already did it in the spring for this year's
Oh,
juniors,
cool.
yes.
I'm so happy with my
Yes.
daughter right now.
I take it she didn't sign up. Mine was forced to,
No.
she was not happy.
Somehow that slipped my mind.
Yes, yeah, so that was in the spring. Dr. Nosen and I started that about 10 years ago, where we started offering free SAT
Oh, no,
classes
I'm
for our
ready to pay
kids.
for one, so.
Yeah. You know, I actually have a couple of prep books left in my office, Ms. Beleza. If you want to purchase them, you
Oh, I
can.
would love to.
We could do that. Oh, can I call B down and give her that news?
Oh.
That would be great.
Tell her there was a resolution at the school committee.
Yeah, we had about, it was done remotely this year because of our learning situation, more kids could access it. We had about 20 kids take part in it, so, yeah, it's been a nice program because we realized years ago there were, a lot of our kids couldn't afford an SAT prep. The other thing is, besides that program with the 2 booklets you get, there's a ton of really good stuff on Khan Academy now. So if you really want to do some diving into Khan Academy, you can find so many great things where they'll even address certain concepts in math or stuff that's very complex. And you have college professors showing you how to do it for free. It's pretty awesome. So there's a lot of good resources that didn't exist 10 years ago when we tried to do this for families.
Right.
So,
Thank you.
Mr. Wood? I'm sorry, was there another question? Mr. Lucas?
Yes, I was wondering if there were any plans, I know it's difficult at the end of the year, and about Juneteenth and any planned acknowledgement or observance of Juneteenth.
we have some of our student groups doing some things because it's not on a school day. So we're not formally observing it, but we do have some of our student groups doing some activities in school.
Okay. And the junior high?
At this point in time, we don't have anything scheduled. We are working on trying to squeeze in one last thing this year on something around a lesson to the school around tolerance in general, but not necessarily the exact holiday itself. It's kind of prompted by a family. There's a young lady who's an awesome kid who's just an advocate about teaching tolerance and promoting just acceptance of all kids. And so we work with her family, well, her more than the family, to try to just get something in place before this year ends and send the kids off in the summer. Just one last reminder of that, but not a specific thing to observe that holiday.
Our diversity club and student council are putting together some small things from Monday, the last day of school, for fun. So they're working on that now.
Great,
So,
thank you.
Mr. Wood?
Just a couple things from out of here, and I want to, teachers have worked incredibly hard this year, and I just want to give some kudos. You see the pinning ceremony. So all year long, those kids were not able to accumulate any clinical hours, and literally on the day that they said we could, I met with the teachers, and they were right on the phone with Quabog on the Common. It was a very compressed 2-week period that the kids were able to go out there. Some kids didn't have the skill sets yet, so they stayed back and worked on things. So in those 2 weeks, they were able to get the hours they needed, and so you see fewer kids have their CNA at this point because, again, Red Cross is backed up. More and more kids are getting them. And I just want to kudos to the teachers for going above and beyond, and some of those kids who stayed back because they weren't up with the skill sets yet, they now had the skill sets, and this past week, the teachers have been going with the students, to Quabog on the Common, so those kids can also get their CNA. So to Mrs. Dalrymple, Ms. Cartwright, and Mrs. DePace, this above and beyond, which is phenomenal. Culinary took a hit this year just because of how it was. I mean, they were only making food for teachers in the building. Unfortunately, we have hungry teachers, so that was good. Hospitality took the hardest hit because there was no waiting on tables. But Mr. Bernard and Chef Pop and Chef El were able to, in the last month, get our al fresco dining outside, and so teachers were able to come and the kids were able to work on some of the skills. And the last one is huge. In a virtual world, as we talked about, Skills USA is just crazy. And kudos to Mr. Lamoth and Mrs. Carrier specifically for the work they're doing. Our young lady, our sophomore Lily, her test and performance assessment is a 3-day, 1 to 5 o'clock at night. That is what she's doing every day. She does get a break, so that's good. And Connor tomorrow has 4.5 hours working in a 10 by 10 box, building whatever when he opens it up, he's gonna see what he's gonna build. And these kids are literally, every keystroke that Lily makes is noted. She is on 2 cameras live streamed to, Connor is 2 cameras live streamed to Skills USA. And the kids are excited. And when I read the guidance that comes out of Skills USA, literally the one that Lily is doing, it's about 30 pages of directions. And Mrs. Carrier has just done a phenomenal job organizing all of that. So in a world where it's been a real tough time for teachers, it's not just the everyday stuff, it's the going above and beyond, and our teachers have just been doing that all year long.
Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Lucas, I think this marks your final school committee meeting with us.
It does. Thank you for all your support over the years.
Yeah.
It's been an honor to be here, to work here. It's a great community.
Thank you for being with us. Best of luck in your next endeavor.
Thank you. Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to committee reports. Our students have graduated. We have no budget update, no technical update. Brings us to curriculum. Mrs. Barnacle, no update. Negotiations, we will do an executive. Building and physical plant, no update. All right, bylaw and policy. Mrs. Fitzgerald, there's some
Just a quick
unfinished
one.
business.
Just a quick one. Bylaw moves the committee on second reading to either adopt or rescind the 5 policies listed, HF through JJIBA. No changes since first reading.
All right, that's a recommendation of the bylaw and policy subcommittee. We'll bring it to the floor for consideration. Any discussion? Hearing none, the chair will call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mrs. Fitzgerald. Is there anything else?
No, thank goodness. Thank you to the subcommittee members for meeting as frequently as we did this year. We got
Yes.
through quite a bit and look forward to doing
You
it
may
again
not
next year.
accomplished a lot this
We
year.
did.
We appreciate it.
It
Thank
was
you
all
for
the
all
wine
that.
and hors d'oeuvres that made it easy.
At 10 a.m. at home. We may have some activity over the summer so that we can
That's
start
right, yeah.
with a
That's
good
why you were
batch of
meeting so
new business in
regularly.
September.
All right, we'll move back up to communications. There's a couple of communication items in your packages, and that takes us to our superintendent's report. Dr. Nelson.
Thank you. Included in the packet, certainly could have been a communication, just a reminder, or an update rather, from the commissioner on May 27th, just indicating that as of that time, the plan is that we will be open for business, that all of the public health guidance will be return to sort of normal. There will be no expectation of offering remote learning for next year, so unless something changes, and we'll certainly let you know throughout the course of the summer. We actually have a commissioner call tomorrow, so there could be additional updates. You'll see in the guidance it does talk about that perhaps over the summer we would get supplemental guidance around things like elementary school and masks. But we're actually hearing different guidance regarding the possibility of summer school may or may not need masks. So we're gonna find out tomorrow. I suspect that will be part of the conversation, so to be continued on that. Around the meeting schedule, Mike referenced that the Senate and House are working on extending some of the provisions under the emergency order that has now been lifted, one of which is around virtual participation, potentially through the fall, but to be continued as well on that. Mike and I were privileged enough to spend the afternoon with our two superintendent scholars, Tom and Nina. So I just brought the program, if you want to pass it around and take a look. It was at Foley Stadium on May 25th, and then we had a great lunch with them. It was actually somewhat nice. It was very different. There's usually a formal luncheon with a speaker. They had brief remarks and then did recognize the students, but then Mike and I got to take them actually out to lunch, just to a restaurant in Worcester. So
Great.
it was actually really fun because
We were very cool because we went to New Kitchen in Worcester, which is
Yes.
a happy place, so,
Mr. Lucas convinced me, all the hip people.
yes.
I believe the phrase was, "Now you will be hip." Come over there. And I always thought I was hip, so apparently not.
I go there.
There you go. But it was great.
Dr. Nozick.
So it was very informal, which allowed us to talk, and it was just great. It was a really great day, and just kids are terrific. Also had the opportunity to attend the Southern Worcester County Ed Collaborative. Our district had a graduate from the program, so Brenda Looney and I got to chat with the student and his family, and the family was very appreciative of all that Tantasqua does to support the students in the collaborative. It's just a really, really great day. Wanted to remind you that our joint meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, July 28th, 6 p.m. I believe we scheduled that for location TBD, whether it will be here, if we're able to get close enough, maybe in the cafeteria, if not the high school, but we will, of course, let you know around that. A reminder that you will get an email regarding subcommittee assignments, likely in August. I think Mike referenced that as well last month. Just look for that, but again, we'll probably remind you at the joint meeting that that is coming, and then we'll work on those assignments for next year. I also want to thank everybody, as all the principals said, for everybody's incredible hard work this year. It's been obviously a year like no other for any of us in our lives, never mind in school. As I walk through classrooms, even today, the kids are just still spot on, still doing work. Teachers just absolutely killing it. It's really been a remarkable year, and just, I couldn't be more proud. And it has been a full team effort from you guys supporting us all the way through, teachers, all faculty, staff, and the students, as well as all the support that we needed to have from the families to make this even a possibility. So I'm eternally grateful for that. Tantasqua has a few retirements this year. We have Fred Riley and Eric Von Blanken from the middle school, and then Chris Parker and Joseph Appiadata from the high school. And then just last week, Mr. Dobrovolsky let us know that he would also be retiring, one of the assistant principals from the high school. So we wish them all well and thank them for their collective many, many years of service to the students. And then, again, thanks to Mike.
Thank you, Dr. Nozick. Just a couple of other calendar updates. So as Dr. Nozick indicated, we did and we'll have our joint meeting, which is going to be a fairly time-intensive meeting, quite candidly, on the 28th. We'll have a virtual meeting hopefully next week. We'll wait out the legislation. If Governor Baker signs that on Thursday, we'll send notification out to do that next week so we can do the ratification. There won't be an August meeting. The September meeting will be the 21st. And then we're going to start to think about trying to pull together a retreat for the joint body, hopefully in the October timeframe. So more to come on that. Okay, as I indicated, the new business will be bumped and be the one agenda item on our virtual meeting next week. Public access. All right, I will now entertain a motion to move into executive session in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with collective bargaining or litigation if any open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body. We will not come back into open session. We will adjourn from the executive session. And when we have our virtual meeting, we will not have an executive session component, but just a public session component with one agenda item. Requires a roll call vote. Alan Zoli, yes.
Joyce Miller, yes.
Coogan, yes?
Hagerty, yes.
Cunningham, yes.
Doug, yes. Gillen, yes?
Miller, yes.
Alden, yes.
Hudson, yes.
Fitzgerald, yes.
Pelezi, yes.
Randall, yes. Limer, O'Kane, yes. Leo, yes.
Barnacle, yes.
All right, we'll move into executive session. I'll ask that only school committee members and central office staff remain.